Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the part of cybersecurity that gets the most attention and, let's be honest, the most budget, the NIST Protect function. But here's the real question. Is all that spending actually making us safer, or is a lot of it just for show?
And that brings us to a paradox that keeps Chief Information Security Officers, CISOs, up at night. Organizations are pouring more money into security than ever before, but the number and severity of breaches just keeps going up. So, what gives?
This is really the core of the problem, isn't it? We see companies spending millions on the most advanced security tools you can imagine. And yet, you open the news and it's just one major breach after another. Why isn't all that money translating into less risk?
And here it is. This is the crucial point. The problem isn't that companies aren't buying tools, it's that they lack a real strategy. Just buying more security tech without a plan, well, it's like buying a giant pile of bricks and expecting a fortress to appear. You don't get a fortress. You just get a really, really expensive pile of bricks.
So to understand how to actually build that fortress, we need to get crystal clear on what the protect function is supposed to be in the first place, according to the NIST framework.
In simple terms, this is all about the proactive stuff you do to defend your most important systems and data. Think of it like the digital armor, the castle walls, the guards you put in place before an attack ever happens. It's all designed to make sure a potential problem doesn't spiral into a total catastrophe. And what's so interesting here is the contrast. See, the protect function is meant to be a strategic plan, one that's tied directly to the risks you've actually identified. It's not just a shopping list for the fanciest new technology, and it's definitely not a checkbox exercise just to look good for an auditor. It's all about making smart, justified decisions.
Okay, so if the definition is that clear, where did things go so wrong? Well, it turns out even the best intentions can fall apart in a couple of really common ways. Let's look at the first one.
The first failure mode is pretty obvious. It's simply not doing enough. This is what happens when a company underinvests or maybe applies protections inconsistently. You end up with these huge, gaping holes in your defenses. Things like unpatched servers or cloud storage buckets left wide open for anyone to see.
And the consequences of this are, well, painfully predictable. You're always playing defense, which means you're going to have more incidents. Your team gets totally burned out trying to keep up with manual tasks. And of course, you leave the whole company exposed to massive fine and the constant risk that one little mistake just snowballs into a major crisis.
But there's a second failure mode. It's more subtle, and honestly, in a lot of ways, it's even more dangerous. This is what happens when you implement protection without any strategic discipline. It's the whole more is better idea in action, and it's a trap.
And this just illustrates the danger perfectly. You end up with this ridiculously complex mess of tools that don't actually talk to each other and don't reduce risk. You waste money protecting the wrong things, your employees get so frustrated with security pop-ups that they start actively trying to get around them, and worst of all, leadership looks at a dashboard that's all green and gets this false sense of security, while the real danger is lurking right underneath the surface.
So how do we fix this mess? How do we get it right? Well, the source material lays out 5 really clear principles to transform your protect function from just a costly headache into a true strategic advantage.
All right, let's break these down. First up, anchor to risk. This means every single dollar you spend on a security control has to be justified by a specific risk you already know about. No more just-in-case security spending. Second, prioritize identity. Look, in today's world, identity is the new perimeter. Things like strong governance and multi-factor authentication give you the biggest bang for your buck. Third, design for usability. This is huge. If your security is too annoying, your own employees will find a way around it, creating the exact risk you're trying to prevent. Fourth is validate. Don't just assume your defenses work. You have to continuously test them to prove it. And finally, integrate. Your protection tools are pretty much useless if they can't work seamlessly with how you detect and respond to threats.
And all of this brings us to the final and I think most critical takeaway. As you look at your own organization's security program, you have to ask yourself a really tough question. Are you building a real defense, or is it all just for show? This quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. Security theater. It looks great, right? It has these impressive dashboards, a super long list of expensive tools, it generates tons of reports. But the moment it gets tested by a real attacker, the whole set just comes crashing down. So, the ultimate question to take away from all this is simple. Are your security investments building a resilient, validated, and strategic defense, or are you just funding a really expensive stage show?
Because at the end of the day, in cybersecurity, the only audience that truly matters is the attacker you're trying to keep out.